So I'm Brad, and my voice doesn't sound very good, does it, Mr. Doctor? And I have a little peep on my voice box. So every time I talk, it gets worse, and after 1 hour, I have to shut up, which is good because it's 45 minutes. Maybe less now. But I was thinking, in Lean, it's a lot like my little voice. Is the little things make a big difference. The little things can really ruin you, and the little things can make a huge difference. And so even though we were talking about the philosophy today, I want to be practical. So philosophy and practical, hopefully some good tips. And, in Japan we say things like this. We say, there's a big difference between somebody saying, I know, and somebody saying, I know how to do it. Huge difference. We say the difference is like the mud and the sky. So we don't want to be I know guys. We want to be I can do guys. I think sometimes we often say, I want to grow my people. I don't think this is very dangerous too, I think. You guys, you can grow. But no, it's you too. Okay? I'm the leader, I have to grow too. And if I'm not, I don't know, it's just, then it's not fun anymore. And I think it should be like school. It's like a play school. We're playing, we're experimenting, hey, it worked, cool, let's do something else. And so this is where I think we like to start. So my first tip is don't make a goal where when we reach the goal, nobody's smiling. That is really stupid. Yeah. Actually, that's one more thing I like about the Dutch is we're very blunt. It is stupid to make a goal that nobody's smiling. Especially with intelligent people. It is not good. And also, put it this way, in Japan, our strength is harmony. We love to be together. And so we try and do Lean this way. Everybody together. Everybody make a sacrifice for everybody, each other, we all love us. This is how Lean works, It's, I think anybody can do 5S. If you had a father or mother who told you to clean up your room, you understand this. And if we do a real good job organizing anywhere, a ward or an office, there's some results. And once you understand what wastes are, maybe we have our wastes, we expect more from you. Oh, I'm writing a report nobody reads. Okay, that's great. You have a deeper understanding, we'll get more from you. But the real big break comes when we start thinking flow, pool, like Mark was saying. All these kind of crazy concepts. And this, I think, is hard to understand sometimes. But just because it's hard to understand, don't say, oh, that's stupid stuff. Just give yourself some time. For me, it took me maybe 1.5 years to understand why is it better to do one thing at a time when I can do 5 in the same amount of time. I don't understand this. Why? But now I understand finally, I think. And we'll talk about this maybe more at the masterclass, okay? And then the third step is the how. And here's where I want to spend more time. I think we all know we've done some Lean, but how can we do it? And what I want to share is a lot of you guys are visiting each other. I think that's wonderful. And a lot of times people always ask me, especially in healthcare, they say, we want to go on a Lean healthcare visit. Okay. And I don't like to do this because I hate showing the same industry to people. And what happens is we say, oh, look at that MRI machine, that's so nice. We miss the point, it's too familiar. Oh, but their country has a different healthcare system than ours, so look at the government, it's so much better. So it actually makes a lot of sense when you go to something totally different than you. Go to McDonald's even. Go to the Rotterdam ports. It's amazing, you actually learn a lot. And the way you learn a lot, just again, this is another tip, is you always look for the good in people. I think that's my strength, is I look at a person and this sounds really bad, but I pretend I'm God. And I said, how did God create this person? What is their strength? And I go, oh, you are so wonderful. This is your strength. And then that helps me, let's say, make them Lean, let's say, make them a believer. And they can use their strength. And so we always want to go to a company and look at the good only. Learn from the good. You don't learn anything from the bad. And the company is a mix of good and bad. And then if you want to be perfect, before you send your people out, and there should always be at least 2 people, right, so they can discuss. If you can tell them beforehand, hey guys, or hey ladies, whatever you say, we will do. Don't worry. within reason obviously, that whatever you guys decide is good, we will do it. If you give them that promise up front, they will be in a very different mindset when they go tour. Very different. Okay, so that'll be a big challenge, but I give that challenge to you. Try and do it that way, and we will learn a lot more from different industries. Let's not fight about theology all the time. Let's just have unity in essentials, which means in the lean world, yes, there is waste in my life. I am a wasteful guy. Yes, the way forward is flow and pool and helping each other. But we're not going to argue too much about what form you use for your standard work. Who cares? That's liberty, non-essentials. Surprise us. You know, have some fun, be creative. And charity in everything means love in everything. So if it's based on squeeze that guy, more money, less time, it won't work. Okay, that's cool. Oh, I love what you did. If you have that, then it'll work. And it won't look professional, but it'll work. I think that's a big temptation, is professional looking means it's dead. And if you think like this, if you think, okay, this is from a religion, if everybody in here acts the same way, we know it's fake. That's a cult. And the reason why is everybody is made differently. So if your heart is the same, like if you all are thinking lean, we expect you to act differently. That's natural, that's real, right? If you're not doing it that way, it's something we've turned our mind off. That's dangerous. We don't want to turn our mind off. And then, I'll be very careful about this in the hospital, but we hate the word, which was this? Commitment? No. We hate the word compliance. The reason why is, oftentimes when we use the word compliance, we turn our mind off and we say, okay, I obey the rule. And so, I can't think of a good hospital example. Maybe some of you can think of a good example afterwards, but if you just obey the rules, sometimes you get the opposite result of what you wanted. So as an example, I was at a hotel yesterday. So let's pretend the hotel has a rule. Check-in time is 2 o'clock, check-out time 12 o'clock. Okay? And let's say an old lady comes, at 1 o'clock. Hello, is there room for me? And what should she do with the person at the front desk? The rule says 2 o'clock. Madam, would you like to please sit down? I'll have somebody bring you some coffee, and at 1:59 you can walk over and I'll check you in. She's following the rule. She's been very, she's been very compliant. Yeah. But we must ask ourselves, why does this rule exist? What's the reason for the rule? And the reason is it's to allow enough time to clean the room so the room is available when the people come in, right? So, if that's the reason for the rule, and that old lady comes at 1 o'clock, oh, there's a room, don't worry, auntie, let's go. You bend the rule, but you obey the spirit of the rule, And oftentimes with rules, we have to be very careful, because if we are too compliant, we actually get the opposite result. So we have to really know why the rule exists. And I think some of us, I'm just shifting gears a bit, some of us have bosses that we cannot convince, right? Do you have this problem? Yeah, I love it, but my boss, he's an idiot. But you know what? Your boss does not think he's an idiot, you know that, right? He thinks he's smart. Just like this guy. Why does he think he's smart? It's because his mother told him, you're a smart little boy. And so he grew up and he believed her. Yeah. So if you say something that doesn't make sense, obviously you're wrong, right? Because I'm smart. Yeah. That's how it works. And I think especially in the hospital, there's many, many smart people that work very hard to get here. And so for us lean people, we must assume we cannot convince them. That's not our job. We cannot. Who can convince them? Their mother, yes. But we cannot find her. Okay. But this guy, the only way he's convinced is if he hears his own voice. So, wow, we did something in his own ear, and it goes in his heart. And that's the trick. So we always want, when you do something good, make them present. Right? Because people convince themselves. And they convince themselves through their own voice, not by hearing a presentation. Like probably none of you will be convinced today by me talking. But if afterwards we sitting in a small group discussion, what did you learn, what did you like, then you're convinced. That's how it works. So this is the tip. Next tip is, if you are doing lean and your goal is to grow together, it's tough, but you're going to force guys to present. You don't like to, but you must, because that's how they grow. Make them present. And maybe 2 more minutes, maybe? If you have I'll give you one little dirty trick you can do on your boss. These guys that really are a problem. You need to convince them, and they won't be convinced. And the one I use all the time, and it works like a charm, is I say, hey boss, you know, those guys over there did a wonderful job. They came on a Saturday, and they really changed the layout, and it's so much nicer and so much better. They would really appreciate if you could say a thank you. You know, for me, they don't care about numbers. I'm too small. But if you give a little speech, that'd be wonderful. Most guys will be happy to give a speech, I think. Or ladies as well, important people. And I say, when I was your age, I did the same thing. Guess what happened? You know, so maybe his heart was minus 25 degrees. After the speech, it's minus 2 degrees. It will change. So do that. That's what I use all the time. Please give these guys a thank you. Okay? Tell him thank you. And if he's serious, he'll want to know, okay, what exactly did you do? Right? Because he wants to look good. So this is a really, really good trick. And then KPIs. Is a key performance indicator. And I think the most important thing is that you really cannot measure what is most important in your business or hospital with a number, actually. Like, are people motivated? Do they have good teamwork? Are patients happy? Do they feel comfortable? How do you measure this stuff, you know? Oh, we want to measure things, you know, let's measure things. So, here's how I like to make KPIs less damaging. So it's important to say, a KPI is not key performance. The key performance is probably the unmeasurable stuff that you know is kind of good, but it's hard to kind of put numbers on it. But we can come close. You know, we're smart guys. We can come close. And also, the problem is we're also smart guys, so we know how to cheat. Right? So we got to be honest with ourselves and say, listen, if you give me a number, I can cheat it. There's no problem. No problem at all. And I think it's good to be Dutch this way. Let's be honest. And so here's what I do with all my KPIs. And what is the purpose of the KPI? Okay, so maybe it's turnaround time. Why? Why is that important? Okay, well, we want to maximize utilization of this expensive machine that we got. Okay. And how could we cheat? Well, we could take away breaks, and we could take away Saturdays, and we could all these little funny number games. No problem. Okay. Will that make it less real? Maybe. Okay, so if the KPI is there to show us a problem, let's just have a discussion like that first and say, how can we cheat? That's all. And then once we have the discussion, it actually is so much more freeing, you know? Because otherwise, what normally happens when you have a KPI is people always argue, how did you calculate that number? You know, we spend more time arguing about that than what that number really says, right? So this is my final tip. Is with the KPIs, it's not key performance. And so don't make the KPI be God, let's say. The key performance is the most important thing. The KPI is an indicator, right? We should be very careful about this. This is my daughter's school. She's 10 years old in Japan. This is a safety map of the school. All the different areas around the school. Different kids have comments. Oh, thank you for showing me. I didn't know there was a traffic light there. And it looks very homemade and ugly. This says, let us be examples to the lower kids by treating things with respect. And for me, this is a good visual board, right? And I think that there's a temptation for us to say that visual boards or visual stuff needs to look good. But we should be careful saying, who is the customer of these visual boards? Of our metrics, right, even. Who's the customer? Because if it really is for that VP that comes once every 6 months, we should be honest about it. Let's be Dutch. Be honest. It's for him. Okay. But if it's not, and it's probably not, it really is for the people that work there, right? And one of the rules we have is to say, if there's no involvement, there's no commitment. So now these kids, They are committed to safety because they mapped out the whole school and the area, and they know what's unsafe, where the cars come. If they got a perfect looking notebook about safety, they'd be crossing the street at the red light all the time. They wouldn't do it. So we want to have this kind of system.
But you know, once I took my secretary to Japan. I was in Seattle at the time. I was actually in Jeff Carter's office. We shared an office together. And I took her to Japan, and I said, whatever you do, we'll do it. Right? And we went, and she saw different places. And she was a manager of a grocery store before she came. Just an office secretary. And she came back and I asked her, what do you want to do? She goes, I want to change the layout. Okay, great. Next week I was gone, some customer. And when I came back, I'm the owner of the business. Not even the president, the owner. And my desk was gone. Hey, where's my desk? You're never here, we don't need it anymore. And I was so happy that she did this. I said, you know, wow, you really understood the principle, right? You didn't even bother to ask because you knew it was right. And I thought, it was wonderful and shocking, but you know, that's fun stuff. So. Thank you again.